get started. So hello everyone and a very warm welcome. I am Surbhi Kapoor from the GageList team. Thank you for joining us today for the reveal of our exciting new feature, Clarity AI. Before we start the demo, we'd like to show you a short video to give you the gist of it. To let you know, we premiered this video at the NCSLI symposium last week. And now, here's your first look at Clarity AI. Here you go. Wow, that's looked like a cool feature. And we are excited to show you what's coming up. So a couple of quick things before we begin. We are recording this session and you'll get the replay in your inbox later. And during the session, if you have any questions in your mind, please keep them coming. Do not wait till the end. And don't forget to put the questions in the Q&A box. Remember the Q&A box for your questions. So on our panel today, we have Doug Wheeler, who's been building GageList from day one. He'll tell us why he built Clarity. Then we have Jake Waters, who'll show us how Clarity AI works with live certificates. And we have Samantha Cantu. She will be joining us for the Q&A round. So let's get started. And over to you, Doug.
Thanks, Surbhi. Thanks everyone for joining today. I'm Doug Wheeler, founder and lead architect of GageList. And if you already use GageList, you've probably noticed we don't stand still. We're always adding new capabilities. Just recently, that's included crib management, MSA, custom dashboards, and multi-language support. Clarity is the latest, and it's what brings us here today. Let me open with a question I'd like you to answer in chat. You should see the chat button on the bottom center of your Zoom window. And type in there just roughly how many external calibration certificates does your team receive a month? Is that a dozen, a few hundred, more? Drop that number in chat, even if it's just a rough one. Wow, 50, 15 to 30, over 200. 25, 60, 60. Wow, that's 10, 200. Great. All right, thanks for that. I ask because that number is the reason we're here. Every one of those certificates today is handled by hand. Someone opens a PDF, they read it, types the details into your system, the gauge, the dates, the readings, the certificate number. It's careful work, it's repetitive, and it's easy to get a digit wrong on the due date without anyone noticing. Whether your number was 20 or 2,000, That adds up to real hours every month and real risk. That is the problem we've set out to solve with Clarity. So, what is Clarity? Clarity is about what happens after the gauge comes back from calibration. Instead of someone retyping the certificate, a lab emails it to a private inbox, or you upload it. Clarity reads it, finds the right gauge, and fills in the record for you. You review it and you approve it. What used to take minutes per certificate takes seconds. Across hundreds or thousands of certificates a year, that's days or weeks of your team's time given back without giving up control, because a person still approves every record. Where are we today? Everything I just described is live right now and available to you soon. Clarity handles certificates that come in as PDFs, JPEGs, or PNGs from any lab in almost any layout or language. It works as a review and approve step. You stay in control and you keep a complete audit trail. That part matters. The approval is a documented review, which is exactly what auditors expect to see. Clarity speeds up the work. It doesn't cut the corner. Today's version is highly configurable. You're not locked into a fixed template. Clarity settings, you can choose which fields to pull off the certificate. And if you like, you can tune the AI prompts to fit your exact requirements and preferences, including taking several data points from a certificate and combining them into a single field. Here's one example you'll actually see today. We created a field called environmental conditions, and we tuned the prompt to find environmental information on the certificate. So, temperature, humidity, pressure, etc., and combine that into the one field. Jake will show you exactly how that works in the walkthrough in a few minutes. That's where Clarity is today. Now, where are we taking it next? I want to be clear that this is part of the roadmap. It's where Clarity is heading in upcoming versions, not what you'll see in today's demo. First, more ways to get certificates in. Today, it's email and upload. Next, it'll be direct API from your Cal Lab and support for digital calibration certificates, the DCC standard the industry is moving towards. Second, and this is the part I'm most excited about, we're working to teach Clarity not just to read the certificate, but to review it. In a future version, Clarity will evaluate a certificate against ISO 17025 and other criteria that you set and flag what deserves a second look. Something like the certificate may be missing required content, or this result looks outside the expected range. The goal is to take Clarity from saving you data entry to actively helping you catch problems before an auditor does it, or worse. So before I hand off, I want to talk about trust, privacy, and security, because with any AI tool, that's the first question, and it really should be. Calibration certificates can carry sensitive and proprietary information. So how that data is handled matters. Clarity runs in a closed private environment on Microsoft Azure AI. Your certificate data is processed privately. It is not used to train AI models. It is not shared publicly or with outside parties, and your data stays yours. I mean, this is, and that reflects how we operate across GageList entirely. We are independently audited to SOC 2 Type 2. Access to your data is controlled and logged, and your records are yours to export and even remove if you like. But the most important safeguard is the simplest one. The AI assists, it does not decide. Every record is reviewed and approved by a person before it becomes part of your quality system. Clarity is a tool in your team's hand, not a replacement for judgment. So that's the picture. It's where Clarity is today, where we're going, how we protect your data along the way. So now I'll hand it over to Jake, who's going to show you clarity in action with a live walkthrough. Jake, over to you.
Thanks, Doug. So today we're going to show you exactly how easy it is to use Clarity. And Clarity at the end of the day really is just a data intake pipeline for your calibration certificates. And the easiest way to comprehend this is to break it down into 4 simple steps. The first one is that the cert arrives, whether it's emailed to you from your Cal Lab with a whitelisted email that you've given them, or it's something that you've uploaded from a local file in your computer or hard drive. Clarity then will read the certificate, and those data points that were hidden behind that PDF wall, they become real data in the record. At that point, it becomes a draft that's queued up for your team to review, and until they do, nothing happens with it. When they do finally are able to get to the certificate, they can check it, fix anything that may need to be edited, and then hit approve and go on to the next one. So let's go ahead now and take a look at one live. So here we have a new feature in GageList. It's this clarity icon here on the left-hand side. And the first thing we really want to look at is the journey of the certificate. How does the certificate first enter into GageList? That's where we kind of want to start with. So we'll go ahead and click this new icon here, and we'll click the email setup. And the email setup will allow us to add as many whitelisted emails as we need to for each Cal Lab vendor that we have. And so if we drill down even further, we could see how these are built. We just choose the name, and then we configure the name for the email address. Once we've done that, from the Cal Lab's perspective, it's as easy as sending it to that whitelisted email and just pulling in the certs they would normally send over via email. So we'll go ahead and hit send. And then as we're working through our demo, those certificates will start to work in the background and Clarity will start to process those. One other thing we can do here while we wait as well is show you how to upload these manually. So if we click the add button here, wait for that to load for a second. And then we can click right here to upload our files that we want. So I'm going to grab a few here to upload, and then I'll click add. So now we can see those are working right now, but we have a few that we can review and go ahead and take a look at. So I'm going to click this one right here to bring up the preview screen, and then I'll click it one more time to drop into the full view. From here, I'm going to go ahead and move this slider bar over and zoom into the certificate a little bit so we can examine exactly what it's pulled from and what exactly we want to confirm. So the first thing we want to check is the unique identifiers, how it found the right gauge to attach it to. So here we have the control number, the LT0157 number. We can see it's located right here, and it accurately found it. And it also got the serial number, the DL3, and then the 276 serial number, as we see as well. So we know that we're working with the right gauge. The next thing we want to look at is the as found data and if it's within specifications. On the form here, we can see that it arrived within specifications and no adjustments or repairs are required, and it was returned within specifications. So those are accurate. It also was able to pull in the name of the calibration laboratory and put the calibrated by field populated with that data. It also was able to grab the due dates and the calibration dates. We see March 18th, 2026 and March 31st, 2027 accurately recorded. The gauge status was left as active, and it also was able to pick up the things like ambient temperature and humidity in the room. So we can see all those were recorded there in our custom field that we set up. So now that all of that looks great, we're going to go ahead and click Approve and Next. Now that we've actually created a calibration record by just reviewing the data that Clarity has set up for us, let's go ahead and see how it was stored in GageList. We're going to go make our way to our gauges, and we're going to go find that 128 gauge right here, and we're going to take a look of how it was recorded. So we're going to go down to the calibration history at the bottom, and we're going to click on one of the calibration records that we just did there. So as we scroll down, we can see it attached the certificate that we were just looking at to the calibration certificate right here. And then down on the bottom right, we have a new badge where we see Clarity here. If we click this, it'll give us some more context about the calibration record that we just recorded. So we can see the file size of the certificate, how many pages it was, and here we actually see the AI model that was used to parse the data via OCR technology. We see this one was an OpenAI ChatGPT 5.2 model. Also the date that it was added and created. We see also that the due dates were accurately transposed, so this looks pretty flawless. We're pretty much ready, good to sign off on this one. One more thing before we look at the ones that we just emailed to us. Let's go ahead and take a look at our settings and clarity settings, and we can show you just how flexible this tool can really be. So here is where you pick what gets extracted and what doesn't. You have some general fields here in the calibration, and you can choose which ones you want to extract or ignore. You also have something called prompt assistance. This is a pretty powerful thing. This allows you to add context and additional instructions to the LLM prompt schema that's already in place. You'll see this become really important as you build your custom fields. For instance, we created one called environment conditions. And we told it, look for environmental conditions such as temperature, humidity, pressure, and to summarize all those things into this one field. And like we just saw with that record previously, it worked flawlessly and extracted it just the way we wanted it to. We're really excited to see our customers go in here and start playing with this because we think there's just so many possibilities, and we're really excited to see what you guys come up with. Let's go ahead now then and go back to our inbox, and all of these should be ready for us to take a look at. And we could see just in the time that we demoed this and showed you how it works, all of the certificates are ready for our review. So let's go ahead and click on one. And I'm going to click one that is completely, if we can get one that's completely handwritten like this one. And then let's see how it did with something like this. So again, we want to make sure that those control numbers and serial numbers are accurate, and we're attaching it to the right gauge. And we can see the MWL263 is accurate. And even something that was handwritten in a more condensed way that is a little bit more hard to read was still accurately transposed, for which we see on the 09220 serial number that we see right there. The as found and as left data and the gauge falling within specifications was accurately recorded as well. This one was in a very different format. This one just was a checkbox with a pen, and as you can see, it was able to distinguish the context of that. It also found the name of the calibration company, just like before, and the due dates. This one had a due date of August 19th, 2024. And it's really impressive because you can see, even when it's handwritten and even a little bit hard to read, Clarity didn't have an issue extrapolating that data. And then up here, where we have an abbreviated August 2025, it was able to parse that as well and default to August 31st. It automatically defaults to the end of the month, but again, with that prompt assistance, you can customize that to whatever arbitrary date you essentially want. Everything else was recorded accurately. There were no environmental conditions on this certificate, so we can hit approve next. But before we do, we can tell Clarity how it did. Since this one did a really great job, we'll go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If there is something that we could work on or do better on, you can hit the thumbs down, and then it'll give you the opportunity to send a short message about like what we can improve on in that instance. You can also toggle between this condensed view and a full calibration view of your record if that's what you're more comfortable with. But let's go ahead and click approve and next, and let's find one more record that we want to look at to show just how powerful Clarity can be. So this is one that I did want to highlight as well, because this one is a little different than the other ones that we just saw. It has a mix of handwriting and printed text. As you can see, the control number is both printed and handwritten, and it was accurately picked up with the CCL 128. It also was able to detect the serial number, as we see as well. And the as found and as left data is recorded again a little bit differently. This one shows just in text, receive condition, and tolerance, but it was still able to accurately deliver those passing results. I found the person the calibrated company who calibrated it. And then it also found the calibration date and the next calibration due date. It's actually really impressive because even though they're just printed on the page here, this one has something a little different. It shows due dates for calibrations for the calibrated standards that were used to calibrate this tool with. But Clarity is smart enough and has the context to know what to do with these, so it doesn't get tripped up by any of these other dates that could be on the page. It was able to accurately detect the due dates that were relevant to our gauge and accurate to what we need to record. It also was able to detect, again, the status and the temperature and humidity of the room. So we'll go ahead and click approve and next on that one. So thank you so much for taking this walkthrough with Clarity with us. We're really excited to see what you guys are able to do with this and all the different ways you're going to be able to set up your prompt schemas. We'll go ahead and turn the meeting back over to Survey now.
Well, thank you, Jake, for a wonderful walkthrough of Clarity. That's an amazing feature. So, all of you, as you can see on the screen, the pricing for Clarity is pretty simple. It's included with our Plus, Pro, Max, and multi-site plans with 100 pages of certificates per month included. Beyond that, usage is priced on consumption. This pricing will be up on our pricing page very soon, and you can find Clarity on your app. Jake, can you show us the next slide? Yeah, right over there on the left sidebar, you can see the Clarity icon. Clarity will be live very soon, and if you could see on the screen the button on the right side, let you add it on your plan. So if you are on any other plan, reach out to us and we'll help you find the right fit. And now it's time for our Q&A round. I would hand it over to Doug now.
Thanks, Sarvi. Okay, so I see a few questions rolling in, but if you have any questions, click that question button on the bottom of your screen and type it in there, and it'll pop up on my side, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. Okay, first one is, can we control who on our team is allowed to approve certs? The answer to that is yes, of course. Your user setup that your administrator has access to can enable and disable access to the Clarity feature on the per user basis. So no problems there. Here's a good one. Some of our old certs are scans, crooked pages, fax quality. Can Clarity still read those? Yes, the answer is usually, almost always. So Jake showed you some handwritten certs, which I think is a really good example. Some of that handwriting was a bit choppy, and it picked it up. So no problem there. General rule of thumb is if you can read it with your eyes, then Clarity can also read it. So third question we have is, can it, for Mark, is can it also identify and record the standards used by the calibration lab to conduct the calibration? I actually haven't tested that one yet, Mark, but that's a great question. I believe that it will. We would create probably a custom field that we would call standards, and then we would put the prompt in there. We'd set up a prompt that says, go look for the standards used by the calibration lab and store those here. I don't think it would be a problem at all. When you get working on that and you try it out, if you have any trouble with it at all, or just want to workshop it, just contact support and we'll set up a meeting and go over it. But I think that would be a great custom field addition. The next question we have is, let's see, when is the exact effective date for Clarity? So I think that's from Benjamin. I think that what you're asking is, when is it going to go live? It is live. We're going to turn it on, Clarity, or we're going to turn it on so that you'll have access to it in a day or so. So it will be this week, I expect. All right. Let's see. Does Clarity help with out of tolerance calibration certs? Yes, it can. So when Jake was showing you, it picked up the as found, whether it was a pass or fail, and as left, whether that was a pass or fail. So if it's indicated on the certificate in any way, the AI will pick it up and flag that out of tolerance, and you can catch it in your review on the left. You can also tune that with the prompts and so forth. And we're also adding features in the near future that will actually grade it against like ISO 17025 and other things as well. So Is Clarity able to create new gauge records with the calibration cert if the gauge does not yet exist in GageList? Yes. If it'll try to find the gauge, like say it's a new gauge that's just entering your system, you get a certificate in from the manufacturer and you want to use that. So the gauge is not in your system. It'll try to find a gauge, and of course it won't. And then you can click Add Gauge button and add the gauge right then and there. Hit Save, and then flip over to add your calibration certificate. So yeah, no problem whatsoever. Okay, so here's a question: what surprised us most once real customers started feeding it their actual certificates? So I'm going to hand that one off to Sam. Sam, why don't you answer that?
Sure. I know something that surprised us is how configurable Clarity turned out to be for each customer's workflow and their certificates. For example, each field's extraction rules can be tuned to match how you handle your own certificate data, especially the custom fields, just like Jake showed us with the environment variables. So you can do that with any field on the cert and tell Clarity exactly what to look for, which is really neat.
Thanks, Sam. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. Brian asked, will certs have to be uploaded individually or can multiple be added at once? You can, if you're going to upload the certs, you click the upload button and you can grab, I'm not sure what the limit is, but you can grab several certificates all at once and they'll go right into your inbox and queue up, be processed and ready for review. So absolutely you can. Okay, will Clarity recognize NIST numbers and the input into those and input those into the calibrations? Yeah, if you select the NIST field on your certificate or create a custom field for that purpose, it should pick it up just fine. Let's see, does Clarity help with equipment that were supposed to be calibrated, however, were not calibrated due to unforeseen reasons, such as cannot locate equipment, or does it leave that cert as is till the user changes it manually? Not sure I understand that question fully. So does Clarity help with the equipment that were supposed to be calibrated? However, you would do that through GageList. If a certificate came in, you can certainly put it on hold or dismiss it, handle the gauge and GageList, maybe re-upload it, and so forth. I hope I answered that one correctly. How would you handle duplicate serial numbers if any occur? So duplicate serial numbers, if the serial number of the gauge is duplicated, that's handled on the GageList side. So you would not be able to add duplicate serial numbers when you enter the gauge. So that should be that'll be handled over there. Let's see, are we able to set a scan page limits? Sam, what's our scan page limit? Do you know offhand?
There's no page limit, it's just file size right now.
And what's that limit?
About 10 megabytes.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Okay, so can clarify identified accredited labs. I mean, today you can define fields and tune the prompts. The same mechanism behind the environmental conditions field that we demoed. You could set up a field to pull accreditation details off the certificate, like the accreditation body and so forth, and statements like ISO, 17025 accredited and so forth. So it could do that to some extent, but it's not the same thing as verifying an accredited lab. I'd need to look into that. That's actually that's a great point for our roadmap. So I'll look into that and see how that kind of can fold out into the future. Okay. All right. Let's see. We got time for a couple more questions. And so can we discuss the email setup portion again? Yeah, let me explain that. It's really slick. So you create, the domain name is set by us, but the name of the email on the front part of the email then is determined by you. So you could do Acme Calibration 123 at clarity.gagelist.com and give that to Acme Calibration. Then you create another email address called, Smith Calibration, and you give that to Smith and so forth. And they just use that email to send the PDFs into Clarity directly, and they'll automatically be tagged. Because of that, we know who the Cal Lab is, and we know what they're sending you. And you can add as many email addresses as you want. You can change them, and that serves as your flag. So it just takes a minute to add those email addresses, and I would personally just recommend doing one for every Cal Lab that emails you certificates. Okay. We're able to set space. Let me go back to what Brian asked. He's asking to the limits regarding pricing after 100 monthly scans. We'll have 100 monthly scans. If you're hitting your head on that, reach out. That is just it's a go live number. It's our base plan, and it's included for free. If we need to go above those monthly scans, we will be offering consumption-based pricing. It'll be reasonable. It's the driving factors are, you guys all have used AI by now, and it's we're going to set things up, and it'll be we have token costs and things like that on our back end. But the pricing will be reasonable, and it'll be out in a few weeks. Is there going to be a step-by-step breakdown on how to use Clarity? And yes, the answer to that is actually already in the knowledge base. You can find instructions on how to use Clarity, I believe. I believe they're there already. If not, they'll be there tomorrow. And you can look at that. In addition to that, just reach out to our support team if you want to jump on a call, and we'll walk you through any details on how to use it and set it up and tweak it for your purposes. Okay, and last, our primary. Wait, two more questions I'll do. Our primary lab sends certs in a zip file. Is Clarity able to handle that? Not currently. They'll have to send it as PDFs as the base attachment. Okay. With multiple sites, we have the last question I have time for today. With multiple sites, we may have multiple people handling calibrations from the same calibration provider. How would those get separated by sites? That's a great question. So if you have a multi-site setup, you give the calibration lab an email for each site. So it would be Acme Calibration for our Houston site, Acme Calibration -Dallas for the Dallas site, and you can tell I'm from Texas. And you would give those two email addresses to the same Cal Lab, and if they send it and depending on which email they used, the certificate would land in the appropriate site. So that's how you'd handle that. All right. That's all we have time for right now. I'm going to hand it back to Serby to wrap us up.
All right. Thank you, Doug and Sam, for taking up those questions. So, out of due respect for everyone's afternoon time, we will wrap up here. And if we didn't get to your question, we'll try to reach out to you with answers. So, if you have any questions in mind, you can just reach out to us on email at support@gagelist.com. And if you would like to see clarity on your own certificates, you can book a demo with us, and you can go to our website, gagelist.com, and set up a demo with us. And we can show you clarity live there again with your certificates. Thank you, Jake. Thank you so much for giving us an amazing walkthrough. And I would like to say thank you to everyone for joining us this afternoon. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye, everyone.